أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah amma ba'd. In the previous session we looked at how to understand the Quran and the Sunnah, and we said that it should go back to the time of the Salaf. In this session we are going to ask a very important question. What does it mean when we refer to differences of opinion? What are those areas where there is flexibility, where differences of opinion should be respected and tolerated? And what are those areas where there is no difference of opinion and differences should not exist? Now, in order for us to understand this, we have to also understand, and it's perfectly natural for us to realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us Muslims. Today there are somewhere in the region of 1.5 to 2 billion Muslims in the world. It's not possible for every single one of us to have the same view on absolutely everything. Differences of opinion will occur. And in actual fact, this actually happened in front of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in the 5th year of Hijrah, there was the Battle of Khandaq. And this is basically when all of the Arab tribes had gathered against Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dispersed them. But within the midst of this battle, something had occurred at Banu Qurayza. So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after Salatul Dhuhr, told the people to head towards Banu Qurayza. The distance wasn't far and Salatul Asr was coming close, so he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "La yusalliyanna ahadun al-asr." None of you should pray Salatul Asr illa fi Banu Qurayza. Let's get to Banu Qurayza and we'll pray Salatul Asr there. But what happened is, whilst they were going there, they got delayed until the time of Maghrib came in. So now differences of opinion had occurred between the companions in the presence of Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some of the companions have all had this statement of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam: "La yusalliyanna ahadun al-asr illa fi Banu Qurayza." None of you should pray Salatul Asr except when we get to Banu Qurayza. We've all heard this. We've all got the hadith that has come to us. However, how do we understand this? Does it mean that we will pray Asr as long as it remains Asr time at Banu Qurayza? Or does it mean even if it is not Asr time, even if we get the Isha time, we're going to pray there because of the command and the apparency of the command of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So now you find some of the companions, they prayed Asr before Maghrib because they were still going there, they've still not reached their destination yet, but they realized that if we carry on delaying, Maghrib is going to kick in and we're going to miss Salatul Asr. Some of them prayed Asr. And they gave the generality of the text of Salatul Asr to be prayed at its correct time. حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى وقوموا لله قانتين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, protect your prayers, especially the Asr prayers. Make sure you don't let go of the Asr prayers, don't delay it, etc. So they said, okay, we'll delay it slightly, but if we feel that the journey is going to take too long, we're going to pray Asr even before we get to Banu Qurayza. Others gave precedence to the statement of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the extent that some of them even prayed Asr after the sun had set, after the Asr time had expired. So in this example, we find that there could be one hadith and it creates at least two opinions. Why did it create those opinions? Some of them gave precedence of the Quran over the Sunnah. They said that the Quran is understood by the Sunnah. But in this scenario, we will take the Sunnah, but if there is something which is more general in the Quran, or perhaps more specific in the Quran, we will take what it says in the Quran. Or the other way around. Something is general in the Quran, but now we have something which is specific to our situation of us getting to Banu Qurayza. In the Sunnah, we're going to take precedence, give precedence to this one, even if it means that we're going to pray after its time. And the ulama gave different reasons. And the ulama gave various different reasons as to why differences of opinion occur. One hadith might be weak with one scholar, but the same hadith might not be weak with another scholar. So he ends up taking it and he ends up rejecting it. By him rejecting it, he's left that hadith, and this one has acted upon the hadith. Others from the scholars would take a more linguistic view of how they understand the Quran and the Sunnah with the understanding of the Salaf. So they would give precedence to one opinion from the Salaf because of a linguistic argument that's involved. All of this, my brothers and sisters, is known as ijtihad. All of this is known as ijtihad, meaning scholarly deduction. The scholar sits down, he looks at the ayat of the Quran, he looks at the hadith, he looks at the statements of the Salaf, he looks at the linguistics, he looks at all of these different tools and variables that he has, then he forms his opinion on a particular issue. Therefore, in areas of fiqh, the practicalities of the Sharia, the things that we should be doing, the things that we should be staying away from, the manner and how we perform things, all of these are known as fiqh. All of these are subject to ijtihad. In order for you to arrive at the correct opinion, you need to have two things, as Imam al-Tirmidhi explained to us previously. Number one, he needs to have a scholar that precedes him in that view, and number two, he needs to have some kind of evidence that he has based it on. If you have a scholar and you have evidence, those views must be tolerated, even if it conflicts against your opinion. So if you pray in a particular manner and another person prays in a different manner, as long as they've got scholarly views behind them, which is evidence-based, it must be tolerated. This is one way of dealing with differences of opinion. There is another way, or another area, should I say, when it comes to differences of opinion, and this is when it comes to matters of aqeedah and belief. How do we understand Islam? What are some of the things that we should believe in? Is this subject to difference of opinion as well? Meaning, I say La ilaha illallah, he says La ilaha illallah, but his understanding of La ilaha illallah is different to mine, but let's all be fine anyway and be brothers anyway and just tolerate everything. The answer to this is no. The reason being is that when it comes to matters of belief, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah have one set methodology. They have one belief collectively. Let me give you an example. Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, when he was talking about the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said all of these are tawqifi. Tawqifi means all of these are bound by the Quran and the Sunnah, and there is no qiyas in matters of the unseen. What does that tell us? It tells us that when it comes to things of the unseen, when it comes to things of belief, there is no deduction. We don't say, okay, maybe it's this and maybe it's that, and we come to this opinion, but then maybe somebody else has got another opinion, so there must be difference of opinion in issues of aqeedah. That's not the case. Aqeedah has been narrated to us from the Salaf, and this must be preserved, and we must believe in the same way that they believed. And by doing so, we will be then from Ahl Sunnah. Abdul Qahhar ibn Tahir, a 5th century scholar, a famous scholar in the Hanbali madhab, he said about aqeedah, كان المسلمون عند وفاة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Muslims, when the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم passed away, على منهج واحد, they used to be upon one manhaj, meaning they were upon one way of understanding the religion. But now that differences of opinion exist, he is saying that this is not the way of the Salaf. على منهج واحد في أصول الدين وفروعه. In matters of belief, they had one belief. وفروعه, in matters of fiqh, in matters where difference of opinion were tolerated, even that they were one in. They were one in the sense that they realized that this is an area that there is flexibility. He's got a scholar behind him, he's got evidence behind him, so I will allow him to have that. I will allow him to have that opinion because of the fact that this is an area where there is flexibility. But when it comes to aqeedah, it's tawqifi. Therefore, when it comes to differences of opinion, it's very important for us to understand that we are talking about two very separate things. In matters of belief, in matters of how to understand Islam and approach Islam and how to adopt an Islamic view for ourselves, it has to be based on the Quran and the Sunnah from the view of the Salaf. But when it comes to the practical aspects of Islam, when it comes to the way that we do something, then those again are subject to the same criterion, but we will also then realize that because it is an issue of ijtihad, differences of opinion might occur. And if those differences of opinion occur, they need to be tolerated. Why? Because they come from a place where there is tolerance and evidence and respect and leeway, unlike when it comes to matters of belief in the unseen. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us fiqh of the religion and that He gives us the best of understanding of what He wants from us. هذا والله أعلم. صلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.